Look, I'm not asking anyone to believe me. I'm putting this out there because I need to write it down somewhere that isn't just the notes app on my phone, which I've been doing for 3 weeks now, and it's not helping. My therapist says externalizing trauma can create distance from it. So, here we are. I bought a storage unit at auction last November. Unit 537 at a facility off Route 9, about 40 minutes from where I live. I've been doing this as a side hustle for maybe 8 months. You bid on abandoned units, hope there's something valuable inside, and flip it online. Most of the time, it's junk. Sometimes you break even. Twice I've made decent money on antique furniture. Unit 537 went for $230. No one else bid against me, which should have been my first clue. The auction company posts photos beforehand, and this one looked promising. I could see the corner of what looked like a wooden filing cabinet, some cardboard boxes stacked neatly, the edge of an old steamer trunk. Organised abandoned units usually mean someone died or went to a nursing home, and their kids just didn't care enough to sort through it. Morbid, but that's often where you find the really good stuff. When I opened it the next day, the smell hit me first. Not decay or mould like you'd expect. It smelled like how a library basement smells. Old paper, dust, and something else I couldn't quite place. Something almost metallic, like tarnished silver. The unit was maybe 10 by 15 feet, and it was packed in a way that felt deliberate. Everything had its place. The filing cabinet was real wood, probably 1960s, with 4 drawers. The steamer trunk sat beside it. 3 boxes labelled in neat handwriting. Correspondence 1971 to 1980. Medical and transfers. I should mention the lighting was weird. The facility has automatic lights in the hallways that click on when you walk past. Those bluish LEDs that make everything look like a crime scene. But the light wasn't reaching into the unit properly. It just sort of stopped at the threshold. I ended up using my phone flashlight. The filing cabinet drawers were locked, but the trunk wasn't. Inside the trunk I found clothes. Women's clothes from maybe the 70s or 80s, all neatly folded. Some jewellery that turned out to be costume stuff, worthless. And underneath everything, a shoebox. The shoebox contained 9 cassette tapes. They were the old kind, the ones that are transparent so you can see the spools inside. Each one had a label written in the same handwriting as the boxes, dates and numbers. Subject 12, 4th of April, 1978. Subject 12, 29th of April, 1978. Like that. The dates spanned about 6 months in 1978. All Subject 12. I don't know why I took them home. I didn't have a tape player anymore. Who does? But something about finding them in a trunk under clothes, hidden, made me curious. Plus, I was already planning to list the trunk online, and I figured I should know what was on them in case they were, I don't know, recordings of someone's grandmother or something personal that should be returned to family. It took me 3 days to find a working tape deck at a thrift store. One of those old dual cassette boom boxes from the 90s. The kind that's somehow both beige and grey. $20. I tested it in the parking lot with a tape of Thriller the store had lying around. It worked fine. I waited until my girlfriend was at work to listen to the first tape. I'm not sure why. Maybe because I felt stupid being so curious about them. Maybe something else. The first tape started with silence, then a click and a man's voice. Calm, clinical, with a faint accent of someone who learned English as a second language but spoke it perfectly. He said, April 15th, 1978. Session 12. Subject is responding to stimulus set C. Visual confirmation achieved at timestamp 4 minutes, 18 seconds. Then nothing. Just silence. I let it play while I sorted through one of the boxes from the unit. The silence continued for what felt like 10 minutes. I was about to fast forward when I heard it. Breathing. Not the man's breathing. This was different. Shallow, irregular, like someone trying very hard to stay quiet. And underneath it, barely audible, something that might have been whimpering or humming. I still can't decide which. Then the man's voice again. Subject is attempting to maintain eye contact. Partial success. Notes dilation of left pupil. Right pupil remains fixed. More silence. Then, a sound I can only describe as wet, like someone running their tongue over their teeth. It went on for 15 seconds. The man said, "Discontinuing for today." The tape ended. I sat there for a while. The whole thing was maybe 14 minutes long, and most of it was silence or breathing. It felt like a medical recording, maybe psychology research from the 70s. Creepy, sure, but not supernatural, just old and weird. I listened to the second tape that night. This one was dated April 29th, 2 weeks later. Same voice, same clinical tone. Session 14. Wait, the first tape said session 12, but the box only had 9 tapes, so I was missing some. That bothered me more than it should have. The second tape was different. The man's voice said the usual preamble, but then, subject has learned to suppress vocalization. Restraints remain necessary, but have been modified per facility guidelines. I could hear something in the background now. A rhythmic creaking, like a rocking chair or old bed springs. And that breathing again, but controlled this time. Measured. Then the man said something that made my skin feel too tight. Subject is smiling, unclear if voluntary. The creaking stopped. A new voice spoke. It was thin, female, and sounded very young. It said, "Can you see them too?" The man said, "We've discussed this. There's no one else in the room." "Not in the room." "Then where?" Silence. Then, "Behind you." I heard the man shift, his chair scraping. Then he cleared his throat and said, "Session concluded." And the tape ended. I need to be clear about something. I wasn't scared yet. Unsettled, yes, but rationally, I knew these were old recordings of what were probably therapy sessions with a disturbed patient. The 70s had all kinds of questionable psychiatric practices. This was just documentation. Unethical documentation, maybe, but nothing supernatural. I listened to the third tape 3 days later. I'd been busy with other stuff. Actually, that's a lie. I'd been avoiding it. The second tape had gotten under my skin in a way I couldn't articulate. And I kept thinking about that little girl's voice asking if he could see them. The third tape was longer, 38 minutes. It started with the man's voice again, but he sounded tired. May 6th, 1978, Session 16. Subject's verbal communication has decreased. We're attempting alternate methods of documentation. Subject will point to cards. For the next 10 minutes, I heard the man asking questions I couldn't quite make out. followed by long pauses. Sometimes I heard a small sound, maybe a finger tapping on paper. At minute 12, the man said, "Point to the card that shows where they are." Long pause. Then the girl's voice, barely a whisper. "All of them." "That's not..." The man stopped himself. "Please point to one card." "They're all right." Another long pause. Then the man said something I've replayed maybe 30 times, trying to make sure I heard it correctly. He said, "If you can see through the cards, tell me what I'm holding behind my back." I heard her laugh. It wasn't a child's laugh. It was too knowing. She said, "Your left hand has my pencil. Your right hand has your keys. But one key doesn't go to any door in this building. You keep it because your daughter gave it to you before she stopped talking." The man's breathing changed. He said, "How did you..." "I can see behind things." The tape continued for another 20 minutes, but it was just the man asking frantic questions and the girl giving answers that meant nothing to me without context. Things like 3 walls back and the second basement and when the red light is on. At the end, she said very clearly, "He wants me to show you." "Show me what?" "How to look behind." The tape ended on the sound of something falling, maybe the man's chair tipping over, and him saying no 3 times, each one louder than the last. I didn't listen to the 4th tape for 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, things started happening. Small things at first, the kind of things you'd normally dismiss. I'd wake up and objects in my apartment would be in slightly wrong places. A book I kept on the left side of my nightstand would be on the right. The bathroom door I always left open at night would be closed. My girlfriend noticed too. She asked why I'd moved her toothbrush to the other side of the sink. I hadn't. Then I started seeing things in my peripheral vision. Not shadowy figures or anything dramatic, just people, I guess. Except when I turned to look directly at them. The space would be empty, but somehow the emptiness felt occupied. Like the air was denser there. It's kind of hard to explain. The worst part was mirrors. I couldn't look at mirrors without feeling like the reflection was delayed by half a second. Like I was watching myself on a video call with bad lag. My girlfriend said I was being paranoid. She was probably right, but it didn't feel like paranoia to me. It felt like something had shifted, and I was noticing it. I listened to the 4th tape on a Tuesday morning. My girlfriend had left for a work trip. I was completely alone. The 4th tape was dated May 20th, 1978. The man's voice was different now, flatter, affectless. He said, "Session 20. Subject has refused food for 3 days. Physical health deteriorating. Dr. Carr has recommended intervention, but I've refused. We're too close." Too close to what, he didn't say. The tape was mostly silence, broken occasionally by the sound of papers rustling, and the man muttering to himself in a language I didn't recognize. Then, at minute 19, the girl spoke. She said, "You've been doing it wrong." "Doing what wrong?" "Looking. You keep trying to look at them. You have to look through things, through the surface." "I don't understand." "The man who bought my tapes understands. He's starting to see. I stopped the tape immediately. I sat there in my apartment with my hand shaking. Somehow, the tape kept playing. The man said, "What man? What are you talking about?" "The man listening right now. Tell him he needs to stop. Tell him it's too late for me, but not for him." I turned it off again. I actually threw the tape player across the room. It hit the wall and the battery cover came off, but it didn't break. I didn't imagine that. I know I didn't. She knew. Somehow, on a tape recorded in 1978, that little girl knew I would be listening. I haven't touched the other 5 tapes. They're sitting in my closet right now, in the shoebox, and I'm moving next month. I'm leaving them there for whoever rents this place next. Maybe they'll throw them away. Maybe they'll listen. The thing is, I can still see them. The people that aren't people in my peripheral vision. And I think I'm starting to understand what she meant about looking through things. Because yesterday, I was staring at my bathroom wall, and just for a second, I could see the apartment next door through it. Not through the wall exactly, but like the wall was a thin screen, and I could see the space behind it. I saw my neighbour sitting on his couch, but he had no face. Just smooth skin where his features should be. I looked away immediately. I haven't looked at any walls since then. My therapist asked me yesterday if I've been sleeping. I lied and said yes. The truth is I can't sleep because I'm afraid of what I'll see when my eyes adjust to the darkness. The truth is I've been keeping every light in my apartment on, and even then, I catch movements in the spaces between furniture. Quick darting things that disappear when I focus on them. The storage unit is still there, if anyone wants to check. Unit 537. The filing cabinet is still locked. I never opened it. Maybe that was smart. Maybe whatever's on those last 5 tapes explains how to stop this. How to unsee what I've started seeing. But I'm too afraid to find out. Because what if it just makes it worse? What if she's right and it's already too late? I don't know what Subject 12 was. I don't know what happened in those sessions or what that man was researching. I don't know if that girl died or got out or is still somewhere, looking through things, seeing behind them. But I know she was telling the truth about one thing. I understand now, and I wish I didn't.